Hi, this is Ryan Thomas Johnson of Carnosaur 2, and you are listening to The Final Gaze.
Welcome back to The Final Gaze. I'm Toby.
And I am Harrison.
And today, continuing our Aliens of August, we are covering Alien Abduction, Incident at Lake County.
Yes. Which I recently discovered is in Montana.
Yes, it is in Montana, which makes sense now. Now when I think of it, I'm like, yep, that looks... I mean, it wasn't filmed in Montana, but I could just see they got that setting right.
This was a Canadian production, right?
Yeah, it was all shot in Vancouver, Canadian actors.
I think I read somewhere where it's like they had like a thing going where if someone broke like their accent and like a Canadian accent just suddenly spilled out, they had to pay like a fine.
Yes, I read that too. And by the end, he had like $200 or something.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so Harrison, when was the first time you saw Alien Abduction?
Yeah, well, I think as we stated before in the previous episode, albeit I said it when I was really, really drunk, I have never, ever heard of this movie before you mentioned it to me. So I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I'm pretty sure that if I watched this as a kid, well, I would have been like about 9 or maybe 8 or 9 years old.
I was 8.
This would have fucked me up. So, fortunately, I watched it as a 30-year-old last week in the comfort of my own home with, I didn't expect too much terror out of it, but, I was generally creeped out by some things.
There was some spookiness,
yeah.
right? It's creepy.
Yeah. So, I watched it last week for the first time. I watched it, like, barely a couple weeks after barely hearing about it. So, I think as I mentioned...
That's a first for you, or rare for you.
Yeah, and... I think it's kind of funny because, again, I think we're just reiterating some things from the previous episode. But the first time you said this and I looked it up, I'm all like, this looks so stupid. Like it's just it's a found footage documentary.
And all the pictures, the cover photo, like the posters they have, look so corny and dumb.
So horribly. It's like a middle school Photoshop job that you can't give an F, but since they gave it an effort, you have to give it an A minus.
Yeah, an A minus.
So I was like, what the hell? But I kind of generally like this movie. So
I like it a lot. I will say. Coming off of The Fourth Kind.
Yeah, coming off The Fourth Kind, which again, we said this last time. It's like it appears that we're trying to just shove in as many movies as we can that try to make something fake seem real. So.
Yeah. We have we've done that. That has been a theme lately. Going back to the Japanese.
Yeah.
Well,
But what about you? When was the first time you watched this? I bet you have a pretty intense story.
Well, I don't have an intense story, but I first heard about it because last year, it's been about a year and a half, but I was listening to a movie podcast, and they were covering this movie, and sometimes I'll listen to podcasts, even if I have reviews, even if I haven't seen the movie, just because I like the conversation of the host that I'm listening to. So this one was one that I started, and I had never heard of it, and they were talking about it, and these guys were kind of not manly men, but not really afraid of a lot of stuff. They talked about horror movies, but they're never scared. And the first 10 minutes, they were like, this movie creeped me out. Something was so unsettling about it. And so immediately I paused it and went and looked it up and found it and watched it that night. And I agree. I watched it at night at 11. Should not have done that. I don't know what possessed me to think that was a good idea.
And you were living alone at the time, right?
I was living alone in downtown Phoenix, and it freaked me out. I could not stop. Just my sleep was on and off because I just kept seeing little grays looking at me, crawling through the window, and the like. So I'd only seen it that one time, and just always stuck in my head at how I felt how good it was for how unexpectedly good it was for the time period that it came out, and just because I'm surprised no one has like really heard of it. It's not that widely known unless you're like a UFO enthusiast.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about.
Which I'm not. I think I just have it. I think this month has been the most I've ever talked about UFOs ever. So, but yeah, I thought it was pretty funny because it's just a thing that you always remembered as a kid, but you just sort of forgot that it existed. But when it said first aired on UPN, I'm all like, I remember that.
UPN. I mean, I remember UPN. Like so many things that I've watched on UPN as a child. It shaped my childhood.
Yeah, and I was actually kind of thinking that you watched this as a kid. I feel that this would be like something you would have accidentally watched because, oh, Mommy and Daddy, I loved Independence Day. Oh, look, there's an alien special. It's called Alien Abduction. I'm like, not the same thing. Kind of like how you went, kind of similar to your Jurassic Park and Carnosaur story.
It would have been that. I would have probably I would have been freaked out. Yeah, it would have destroyed me.
Yeah.
No, but it does when I was watching it feel nostalgic for some reason. I think it's just the clothes and I don't know, it feels very 90s. And just seeing they're filming on a VHS tape obviously, so you have the like film burns and whatever, the static and stuff, and it did bring me back to like the 90s,
the good old days.
The good old days, all the 90s.
Yeah.
We've become our parents, like reminiscing about the 80s and 70s.
Oh, 8mm,
So that's when I first saw it.
So Signs fucked you up. I feel that if you watched this sooner, you maybe would not have had that movie fuck you up as much as it did.
Maybe, or I might not have watched it if it freaked me out so much. I was a chicken. Before I got into horror movies, I was a little baby. Could not handle it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because maybe you would have experienced something like me with Event Horizon, where that just really fucked me up, but now it's all like, well, now I kind of want to watch Hellraiser.
It's funny. I have a not similar, but like, there was a time when my parents rented The Mummy. And I was a child, obviously. I was around, whatever The Mummy came out, 97?
99.
99? Okay, so
Yeah.
however, 10, 11, whatever I was. And I was laying in bed, and I heard the movie, and it scared me so much. I kept running into my parents' room, like, what are you watching? This is scary. Like, I'm hearing all the noises. And finally, they were like, just come sit with us. For some reason, their minds were like, this will make him feel better if he watches the movie. So I went in and sat with him and watched, like, we'd already seen, like, the first 10 minutes. So it was, like, when you first see O'Connell. Then on, and I'm like, I remember being so terrified. And then after that movie, renting it so many times. Because at that point, I was like, this isn't scary. It was more like action adventure to me. Yeah. But I just think it's funny, like, I desensitized myself in that moment. So maybe you're right. Maybe I would have watched it, been so freaked out, and then become obsessed.
Yeah. And, and plus, gosh, I think you're maybe even a little bit bolder than me at that time because The Mummy, while being like action adventure, still had some pretty gnarly visuals and even like, it even kind of had some really decent jump scares in there too.
It did. And I think what calmed me was that my parents laughed and like jumped and laughed and made it funny. So maybe that kind of helped me through it. I also, blindly trusted my parents, so I just assumed they wouldn't let me watch something too scary.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Man.
I was wrong.
Which makes me wonder, is The Mummy, are we even going to cover The Mummy?
I think The Mummy's horror action. Action horror.
Because, I was thinking towards the future, and I was thinking of like future themes, because obviously we can't really repeat these themes like yearly.
Mummy of May or something. Mummy of March.
Well, no, that would actually fall into a very specific category of originals and remakes.
That'd
so
be a
do
good one.
Yeah, so we do like the original
one?
Mummy and then like the remake and like
the old Universal Mummy.
Yeah, 1932, and
okay.
to get really controversial, we do like the original Psycho, and then just the unnecessary remake of Psycho, stuff like that.
I'm definitely down with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the Mummy series is horror. If we can cover, I don't know. What have we? A House, which is horror but also hilarious.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's some movies that I forgot that we already covered, but we are definitely a little bit more open-minded.
What's it called? Not Evil Dead, Dead Alive.
Dead Alive. Oh no! I think that that belongs in horror. I think
because of the gore.
Yeah, well, not even the gore. It's zombies. It's
That's true.
More importantly, if we can cover all the Resident Evil movies, we can cover The Mummy.
We can. I will be angry by when we get to the third Mummy because I didn't even finish it. But
oh hell no!
I haven't finished it. I don't even know. I watched the first 20 minutes and turned it off.
I hate the music. That's the movie that I hate music on the most. I hate it. But
we'll save that pain for that day.
Join us next year as we cover The Mummy.
And also, people, please forgive. I'm not used to this whole YouTube thing, so pretty new for us. So forgive my quarantine hair. I've not had a cut or anything styled in a billion years since the plague started. So
yeah, no, I'm blaming my appearance on you because I was gonna shower and everything, but now I'm glistening.
So suave, so smooth and suave. Don't even. So before we get into the meat of the episode, I'm just going to give a brief rundown of the plot. So, alien abduction incident in Lake County. Tommy, a teen living in Lake County, Montana in 1998, is filming Thanksgiving dinner when suddenly him and his family are attacked and ultimately abducted by extraterrestrials.
Whoa.
Spooky.
So that would be an experience of the fifth kind? No, that's the fourth kind. Oops.
It would be the fourth kind.
Yeah. I already forgot what the fifth step was.
I mean, they kind of do each one. It's like first they do like each step of encounter.
I like that.
All right. So should we get into our favorite part of the episode?
Yes. Cue the music. And now it's time for our favorite part of the podcast, Nerdy Film Score Talk. How exciting, but how disappointing.
What do you have for me, Harrison? I'm sure you have a lot of notes.
I have nothing because this movie has absolutely no music in it. Well, not absolutely no music, but it has for instance, there's just a girl playing the piano. Whoop-de-doo. I think it's Fur Elise that they're playing. I actually didn't even bother looking it up. Yeah. Other than that, you have the UPN theme music. Whoop-de-doo again. But essentially, it truly embraces its fake documentary found footage roots. There is absolutely no music in the movie whatsoever to report on. So,
which is good, right? It makes sense because it is a found footage movie.
And I am kind of glad that they did that, only because I've seen and I can't quite remember which movie did it, but it was definitely a fake documentary. And I remember they put a subtitle at the very beginning saying music was added for dramatic effect, and I'm all like, ugh.
Which movie was that?
I can't remember it. I think it was horror.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember either.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of glad they didn't do that. Otherwise, it would have been oh, okay, well, this is it's not adding to the reality of what it should be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The lack of music is fine with this. However, our favorite part is going to be short-lived because we can't talk about anything.
Yeah, we will next week.
Oh, yeah, we got ironically, I have next week's soundtrack in my collection for some reason. So
meant to be.
We'll be able to talk about that, but in the meantime, there's nothing to talk about with alien abduction. So onward we go.
All right, so let's get into general discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So, Harrison, when you sat down to watch this movie, I want to know where your thought process was going through, because you hadn't seen a trailer or anything, right?
No, absolutely nothing about it. I just knew that it was available on YouTube, and that's where I watched it. But gosh, you know what? Upon watching the first few moments of this movie, it already felt fake. And I don't know if it was just because, okay, I'm going into this knowing that it's, a fake documentary, a found footage, what have you. But, the first few moments, I was like, I'm not buying it. This feels
Staged.
fake. This is staged. You know, I'm not, and I'm not quite sure what to point it on. Like I said, it could just be me because
I
had prior knowledge.
but there is a moment for me that kind of gives it away that this is fake very easily, and that is Mom. The minute you see Mom on the piano with Rose, so everyone else for the split second before, I mean, Tommy is fucking annoying, but he sounds like a teenager. Kurt and them, they sound pretty. I feel like everyone in the cast is pretty good at acting real, like the realistic acting you see in found footage. The mom is stage acting. Like the mom is really playing the I'm a mom and I'm an alcoholic. She doesn't do, for me, I don't see her doing a lot of the natural. Her dialogue reading isn't natural. Where everyone else, it's very snappy and just seems off the cuff, I feel.
Yeah, and this is going to be super amazing now because I kind of felt the opposite of that. Only because at first I found her so annoying. Because throughout my notes, it's interspersed like, wow, the mom is acting so ridiculous because she's in shock. But then upon kind of like scanning through it again, I found there was this little bit of dialogue that I guess kind of went over my head, but she's a recovering alcoholic who is just constantly drinking wine through the whole night. So I'm like, okay, that's got to add
scene with that because who doesn't drink wine all night?
I mean,
especially in this situation.
Especially, you see, that's what I was thinking, you know, I'm like, okay, well, she's just acting a little off because, well, she's probably drunk and she's recovering, which, not to get into, like, the really dramatic, real-life aspects of my life, but, you know, I've seen the effects of recovering alcoholics, like, relapsing and getting drunk and how they react, so I'm all like, I mean,
so immediately you had an emotional connection where I was like,
and
this actress doesn't know what she's supposed to be doing.
Emotional reaction is too strong of a word. I was just kind of like, okay, the way she's acting it kind of makes sense in my head because one, she is, like she said, recovering. She's still drinking lots of wine. Like no matter every shot she's in, she always has a glass of wine in hand. And 3, she is still the mother. So she is still trying to kind of keep everything calm, so to speak, which of course I think inadvertently creates some hilarious lines. Like, for instance, we need to get out of here. Rosie might be hungry.
What about the food?
What about the food? You know,
she was so annoying. Like she would not shut the fuck up about
and
food.
And the dishcloths. I'm all like, I don't know. I understand it, and also another factor that could be adding into her like quirkiness or what have you, or her dumbfoundness is that, you know, their father died, or her husband died. So it's like, you know, there's a lot of factors. She's kind of loopy anyways. So throw aliens in the mix. You know,
I understand the mom's character. I just feel the actress is not good.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I get the character and I understand like why she does what she does or whatever her motivations. I just think the actress is not in the same movie as everyone else. Like she thinks she's in a regular movie or that she's on stage. So she's acting, you know, like she's acting a character where everyone else I feel is pretty good at acting very natural. Even Rose, the little girl.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like the fakeness is given away. I mean, Tommy sucks.
Yeah.
Tommy's so annoying.
Tommy is our main, right?
Yeah.
The guy holding the camera?
Okay. Wicked cool. Do you remember that line?
Vaguely. I did watch this last week, so it's kind of like, oh,
okay.
You know. But, you know, I don't know. Tommy, for me, kind of has like a hit or miss kind of a thing with me. It's a lot of miss. This movie was the rare moment where at least with the found footage movie, it had me asking, why are you still recording? You know, there was a specific moment where I was thinking like, Okay, why are you still recording? It was when the girl got zapped by the light or something, and she was very clearly dying. And here we have this character who is still recording. He's like, "Hey, put the camera down. Help."
It's pretty disrespectful. It's almost like, when they have characters who are directors or something that are so obsessed with getting the shot, and he just like has to film this person dying because
Shadow of the Vampire.
It's good footage. So maybe he was just what is it? Not a masochist, a sadist.
So a sadist. And I think the only hit with me was his bathroom confessional.
That was, yeah.
Yeah, which I guess that was a point that I wanted to prove. I guess we could talk about that now.
Yeah.
But surprisingly enough, I had forgot when this came out, so that's why before we recorded, I googled the release date for this, and it was 1998. And after that, I had to Google something else. The Blair Witch Project release date, which was 1999, a year later. So, and it was after doing that I realized that there is actually a lot of similarities between this and the Blair Witch Project. Almost kind of not necessarily plot point by plot point, but similarities in regards to like the style of it. Obviously, is fake footage, documentary video, but also you kind of get the bathroom confessional and the very kind of now iconic performance of Heather.
Scared.
I'm so scared with the camera pointing up right at her face. I'm all like,
controversial opinion. I think this does it better.
I would probably agree. But I honestly can't speak honestly on behalf of the Blair Witch because it has been, I want to say the last time I saw it was on like DVD, early 2000s.
So boring.
Yeah.
It is so boring. And the scary, it's not scary. I mean, watch it. You're going to watch it. If you rewatch it, you'll be disappointed.
I did thoroughly enjoy Blair Witch, the sequel. Which
I think Blair Witch is better than the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
As far as scares and like actual entertainment.
Mm-hmm. And I hope one day in the near future we discuss that whole trilogy because dare I say Book of Shadows.
I'm sure we'll get there at some point.
Get there. But, I was just kind of thinking that, you got two movies, similar kind of themes, styles, and they are kind of similar, even plot-wise, at least, with certain aspects. So I'm thinking, all right. I wonder, who copied who,
Well, I'm going to say Blair Witch did because this movie, which we'll get into, there's more behind the scenes, which will kind of, to me, says this was made before or was the original idea.
Yeah. So.
All right. So, just going through it really quick. So, when you first saw. Oh no! First off, who's your favorite character?
For all the wrong reasons, it was still the mother, but it was only for all the wrong reasons. It's like this. It's like. I don't know. For me, it was just like how fun is it to just watch someone completely go bonkers in such the wrong time to do it at. It's like, it's just fun to see her react, at least toward the end, because at the end I was like, well, okay, fuck it. She is clearly beyond like saving in regards to her character, so she's just the funny drunk of the group, it seems. So that's how I kind of looked at it. But honestly, I almost hated everyone in this family. Pisses me off.
So obnoxious. Oh my god, they're all a bunch of assholes.
They are.
I think my favorite character is Kurt.
Remind me again, who is Kurt?
He's the big brother.
Okay.
So fine. He could tell me what to do any day.
Honestly, the impression I got of him was really incredibly mask bro, and whether he'll admit it or not, he definitely came off as a total racist.
Choke me. Yes, racist. Yes.
Racist.
Yeah.
You know, starting shit when shit shouldn't be started. I mean, it's Thanksgiving. Come on, buddy.
He's an asshole.
Yeah.
I just liked him. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
why.
you know, if looks wise, all right, but personality wise, no.
I mean, not for like a relationship, but you know, like a truck stop type deal.
So we have another breaker from Demon Knife with you.
Yes.
Yeah, another Thomas Hayden Church, a complete asshole, but not relationship material. One night stand. You know, yeah. It's the kind of you invite Breaker and you invite Kurt over. You know, you sit on the couch, you pour a little wine, maybe put on Stigmata.
Smoke a bowl, put on Stigmata. It's a fun night. But then you make them leave.
Night.
They can't stay over.
No, they can't. You got to leave by 2, 3 at the most.
3, yes, 3. The witching hour.
The witching hour. But yeah, no, I absolutely hated this family. Almost every family member exhibited some sort of behavior that made me hate them with a passion.
To me, it felt like a real family. I felt like I knew someone like each of these. Like I knew a mom like that, and I knew, a brother that was a dick like that, or some, a airheaded girlfriend. They all had those tics that you hate the most in people, especially different families that you're not a part of. When you go visit and you see different dynamics from someone else's family, it felt like that. Yeah,
definitely dysfunctional. They probably definitely see like each other like maybe 2 times a year.
Right? Yeah, it felt like they're not used to being around each other.
Yeah, and and it's funny because even before any sort of alien talk showed up, I hated everyone, and it was that just sort of multiplied my hate for them when they were going through all this shit. Which I think it's kind of it works with it, works against it. Works with it because you have this dysfunctional group of people going through some shit. It works against it because I guess it's just me as a viewer, as a horror fan. It's just people you wouldn't want to be trapped in a situation with like this. The joke's over, boys. Stop it.
I'm not falling for this. You're just trying to scare me.
It's not funny. It's like, oh, come on.
Like, how many times are you going to see something that's clearly at the least supernatural, like not of this earth, and then be like, we need to sit down for dinner. We need to do this tradition of what we're thankful for. I don't know. Like, if you saw someone like Kurt, which when you first see him, you just know he's no nonsense. So I feel like these people would know, like, this guy isn't someone who would joke at all. He doesn't seem to have a personality. Yeah. So him running in, freaking out, I would be like, okay, something's up. It's aliens or something, but let's get out of here.
Yeah, because I don't know, and it's like when you try to apply logic to it, that's when it sort of falls apart. Because think about it, you're at your family Thanksgiving dinner. Are you really honestly going to sit there and be like, I'm going to fuck with my family right now? This is the best time to do it. No.
Probably not.
Probably not.
I'm hungry. Thanksgiving, I've been waiting like 5 hours for the food to be ready, so... And I'm drunk as fuck by that point.
Yeah, so we're not going to be doing any sort of alien shenanigans.
So I'll tell you about my last Thanksgiving. I went to a family thing, was not in the mood to deal with the many different, very stubborn Hispanic women in the kitchen. All these little kids running around, like it's just like too much energy going on. And so I was the the cousin or the nephew who bring the bottle of wine to a religious Christian family who does not drink. I had a bottle of wine for myself.
Oh, wow.
And it helped a whole lot, and it was gone by the end of the night, of course.
You know what? Admittedly, all sort of family functions go flawlessly with me. I don't know. It's just one big, because we have a huge family. We're talking like every Thanksgiving, it's like 60, 70 people. And I don't know. It's like we're all just one big happy family. So I am so sorry.
I mean, it works out,
Yeah.
When you're drunk, it doesn't really matter. You can just blow off the whole gay jokes and stuff.
Right. I don't know. I think we have enough gay cousins in the family where it's like you can't do that, so it's like
No, I'm the gay one every time. Every time.
oh wow, horrible. And if someone is, then well, we just kind of like do our native thing and be like, hey,
Is he?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the initial encounter, I thought it was pretty effective. So for the budget that they had, I mean, the spaceship and the aliens that you end up seeing, the aliens are scary, I think, because of the silhouette of them. But I feel like if you were to see them full on, it would be.
They look like the
Very
aliens from
corny.
Scary Movie 3.
From Scary Movie 3, yes. You can clearly see the outfits.
Yeah, because, the build-up to the alien, the lights going out to them going to the breaker box and into the forest, that was actually pretty great. I was like,
Suspenseful.
okay, you got me. But, like, aliens, again, are a hit and a miss, because I think the most effective alien scene in the movie is the moment after he changes his pants,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yes. That fucking got me. That's my terror. That's my biggest fear is turning around and there's the shape of something right there.
Yeah, and I think that was like the most jump scary
and unsettling. I felt very gross, and not just the fact that the figure was there and it was the alien being, the fact that it like put Tommy in a trance of some sort, so that he wasn't aware of what was happening.
Yeah.
To know that at that point that's the power that the aliens have. From then on, you're like, these people are fucked. Like these aliens seem more like they're fucking with them.
Yeah.
It felt like they could have come in at any time.
Yeah.
To do this.
Which no, I'll save that for the end of this segment. But I kind of want to bring up a little kind of funny note. But yeah, no, I think the aliens were, gosh, it just lands right in the center for me, to be honest. It's effective, but it's also not effective. One, because honestly, I think if they dealt more with the aliens in a more indirect way, not so much like actually seeing them. Well, not seeing them, but like the way that the piss pants reveal was made. That's great. I like that.
Good. Yeah.
The silhouette. I think the whole less is more. The less you see of them, the more creepy they are. But at the end, when they're literally just sort of walking into the kitchen, I'm all like,
yeah.
I just saw the Scary Movie 3 aliens in my mind.
Agreed. I think they were very smart to have them hidden for almost the entire movie until that part. I mean, you see them here and there. Or they're in shadows and things like that. Like there's the alien that got shot. But you don't. I think they knew that the aliens didn't look good, and so they used them very sparingly. What they used to scare, I guess, the audience and the family is the power that the alien have, as far as the noise that they hear that hurts their ears, or manipulating them to, like, the Matthew and Linda, who make out for half a second, Kurt's wife. Things like that, I feel like, is what brought the scariness of the aliens, and not really seeing the aliens themselves.
And, the effect that they have on appliances, which whether that fits into behind the scenes or whether it's now, but, that scene, the making out scene, the bathroom confessional were added in, like, when they realized, this is too short. Time. Yeah. Like, for instance, the ending. I thought that was a pretty solid ending up to a certain point, because you have them, for some reason, now the idea of sitting down for Thanksgiving seems merited. They're like, okay, people are missing, we need to stay cool. And at that point, that's where the hopelessness of the characters came into play.
Yeah, and it's very reminiscent of the Last Supper scene in Signs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like, okay, we got to keep our cool, and, we are probably going to die, so we may as well just die acting like a family.
Yeah,
which I'm like, okay,
cards,
and then, of course, in the distance, you see the red light, and then you see the silhouettes of the aliens. Honestly, oh, God, I think I'd be that controversial bitch and just cut to black, or just have the camera go to static. You know?
I like that better than them one by one taking them. I would have preferred the red light, the silhouette of them coming, boom. Have you seen this family? You know.
Yeah, and then like maybe even see like a segment of, or just like a fraction of the alien reveal. You know, like have it turn around the corner, static. You just hear screaming and like rustling, and then all of a sudden the camera goes back to normal, and they're just gone.
Yes, yes.
You know,
perfect.
That would have. There you go. You, and that way you sort of, you know, you don't get to see how low budget your costuming department was for the aliens, you know, which at this point basically look like alien or Halloween masks.
Yes,
you know?
It looked like big heads on little bodies.
Yeah,
just like they had like a one-piece black suit.
Yeah, so I'm like, you know, they kind of look like that band from Star Wars, you know, the Cantina band. Or not the Cantina band, the band at the end of at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, the ones that are like playing, you know, a saxophone, you know. So that's kind of what they look like. But yeah, no, I just, you know, with a few tweaks like that, at least for the ending, everything up to that point is great. It makes sense at least when it does, you know.
Yeah.
The mother, you know, again, I think that's going to be our major disagreement. There's the mother.
I'll say that she's better when she's trashed. When they show that she's actually like, you know, really drunk, I feel like she does a good job there of acting drunk, and then I kind of feel more of that emotion, like she's this woman's fucked up after her husband died. She's dealing with this the best she can, and it's basically just to get hammered, which in turn doesn't allow her to be a mom, you know. So that I kind of got towards the end. It's just most of the movie where she's just with a glass of wine. What about the food?
Yeah.
This is just nonsense.
You see, I don't know. I think that's where the film sort of does great, where it does sort of show us how real people would react to an event like this. Because of course you got Kurt, who is just way more like, you know, we need to get shit done. The brother who seems to be in denial, but of course he's the one who holds the proof because he saw it with his own hands, his own eyes through his camera lens. You know, and then you got like the black boyfriend and his girlfriend, who is all, you know, they're obviously the ones who didn't see shit and therefore don't believe, and they're
the
denial.
Woke people, right? Like she's the modern girl, Melanie, and Matthew.
Yeah, and you know, then you got like the two other girls who are just genuinely like freaked out and panicking, like, you know, still denying. You know,
you have Renee, who is just a throwaway character. She's Brian's boyfriend, and Brian's the middle brother. I believe it's Tommy, Brian, and Kurt. Really quick about Renee. So the one scene that I'm just like, what is this? Why was this included? Where Tommy like goes and sneaks up on his brother who's gonna fuck his girlfriend,
creeper.
And he's so into it. I'm like, gross. Yeah, like, why would you?
Show me your tits. Show me your tits.
Fuck her, Brian. Yeah,
fuck her, brother mine. You know, like, okay.
Her. Let me see your meat. That's what I was thinking.
I know that there's a lot of people out there who wonder that, but like, that shit doesn't belong in an alien movie.
Weird. It just seemed like such a weird offshoot, even to have like the nudity, quote unquote nudity that's in it. Just doesn't mesh with the rest of the movie, and you kind of forget that it happens.
Yeah, I'm
not sure what
that was added in after?
Yeah, it was. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure what it has to do. It kind of makes you dislike Tommy.
Yes, right off the bat. Again, each of these characters did something that made me hate them.
So are they warranted to being attacked? Like, is the movie saying these people are terrible people and this is why this happened to them?
No, I just
is
think
that just reading too much into it.
I think that's just reading too much into it. If anything, I think this movie kind of plays it off as wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, they shouldn't have. They just made the one mistake. If they hadn't let the aliens see them, they would have been fine. Yeah,
which actually adds into a lot of my thoughts on the matter. So I guess we can get into that real quick. This of course, I think it's absolutely astounding that there are like countless cases of alien abduction. A lot of them are reported, a lot of them are seen, a lot of them are, you know, kind of go unseen as well. But the fact that there are like so many billions of people on the earth and there's only a small fraction who have witnessed such extraterrestrial activity, I think is just it's kind of unfortunate, especially when they get into like the most extreme aspects of everything. So it's like I think every alien abduction story is an unfortunate case of wrong place, wrong time.
Tragedy.
And of course I'm referencing something that you wanted me to listen to before this episode. I don't know if you wanted to get into it on this one or if you even want to get into it now.
We can get it maybe towards right before we wrap up.
Okay, all right. But yeah, we'll keep that as a reference for the end, but pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
But I think this is just a case of a family being in the wrong house at the wrong time.
Yeah, and being stupid.
Yeah, and actually, this fits into what I wanted to say earlier because I think we're kind of nearing the end of general discussion. So, my funny bit of just commentary is, from a human aspect, we see these alien abductions as like really horrific things. As humans make movies like Fire in the Sky, which honestly the only thing up to that point I remember is just the whole alien experimentation scene. We make movies like this, Alien Abduction, where of course all the aliens are seen as crazy, like
malevolent,
malevolent creatures. And the fourth kind. We speak in tongues, and they're responsible for demon possession.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking that, okay, what if we're looking at this wrong? What if, think of it this way, alien abduction. Aliens come to visit Earth, but they're not malevolent. It's just an alien family who just are like, oh yes, we're going to vacation on Earth and just see the most exotic places known to man, and we might see a human being for once, and then suddenly everything just goes wrong and then they get attacked by aliens. And well, maybe there's like a law put into place by aliens. They have to, like, if you see a human, you have to, take them with you or like erase their memory or something. You know what I mean?
Well, they make a point briefly, was it Tommy or Brian, where they say maybe they're not just attacking us to do it. Maybe they thought the camera was a gun pointing at them, and they were defending themselves, and now they have to, I don't know. Yeah. Now they're seen as an enemy. They were attacked by something. They're thinking, maybe it's something to do with that.
Yeah, maybe it's just all a huge misunderstanding, which I think is hilarious.
Like the aliens are like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? They have fucking nukes here. Okay, we gotta just cover this up. Our bosses are gonna find out. So if we just, just cover this up, no one will know.
And even worse, this could easily be like a purely 100% scientific mission.
Yes, it could. Yeah, or this is just their orders. They have to, I don't know, to observe a Thanksgiving dinner, this ritual.
Yeah. And even funnier now because, okay, so this is just going way, way out there, but like imagine now aliens make a movie about this encounter. Is it a horror movie where we are the monsters, or is it a comedy because something so simple as visiting Earth suddenly just gets blown out of proportion?
Hilarity ensues.
Yeah, hilarity ensues. So it's like, I was kind of thinking about that, like after the movie, I'm like, well, what if they weren't just,
evil beings?
Yeah.
They just also were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, so it's like, that could easily be a comedy from both sides, human and alien.
That's a good movie. I would watch that movie.
Yeah. So, I was just, kind of thinking about that.
It'd be like, have you seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
Yes.
It'd be like that. It's like the aliens and the humans have two different points of view of what's happening.
Yes. And like, for all we know, maybe the aliens' idea of we come in peace was a laser being pointed at them.
Yes, that's true.
Like, this is our peace flag.
You just don't know.
So...
There is one, there is a couple, spooky scenes where I got chills. Like, I legitimately got chills. One of them is when they're finally sat down to Thanksgiving dinner, and Kurt's, everyone's kind of, the boys are freaked out, but the mom's like, we have to do what are you thankful for? And you get to Kurt, and he starts to talk about Melanie, and you see someone walk behind him, like you see the shadow of something out the window walk past him, and you don't know if what you just saw until Tommy's like, hey, wait a minute, something just walked behind you. That creeped me out. Stuff like that creeped me out, like very subtle.
Yes. And, another scene like that was good. And another one is when the main character holding the camera goes out to see if there's an alien on the roof, and the alien, you just see the
crawls into the attic.
Go into the attic.
That got me even twice more than that one scene. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yeah.
That got me.
And you see that there's another terrific example of the whole less is more approach,
Because it gave me chills. Like, get inside, get your family. They're in the house now.
Yeah, like the most effective parts of this movie were where you didn't see much.
Just the little bits of little flashes of a shadow is really what gets you. Were there any other big moments that you could think of that kind of? I mean, Rose. What did you think about Rose and the little girl?
That just sort of asks. I bet they got this a lot from research, maybe, but. Why is it always the kids that seem unaffected by aliens?
I don't know, honestly. Is it because their minds are not as... Yeah. I don't know. Like, is the mind of a child easier to manipulate with their powers? I'm thinking, is Rose in a position of power now? Like, is she, going to go along and go on travels with these aliens? Or is she just under a hypnosis where she's going to get fucked up the second she goes in the UFO as well?
Yeah, you see, that's a very good question. Only because it's like, at the end, she's all like, don't worry, guys. Everything's going to be okay. Now, is it because she knows that they're peaceful, or the aliens are not, and they're just, manipulating her because she is an innocent?
I want to say they're just manipulating her because she's an innocent. But the hopeful part of me is like, she's going on an adventure now, and it's going to be Lost. This is just the prequel to Lost in Space, and the whole family's up, trying to figure out what to do. Just
this is it's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. They're gonna play note music and then just bring them back.
I'm thinking Cocoon.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know. I mean, performance wise, I think she was okay. Character wise, she is honestly. I think towards the end, whether she's being manipulated or not, she is the only thing keeping this family together.
Yeah, well, she's being the adult at the end. Well, everyone is losing their shit. She's like the level-headed. I found her creepy, especially when she went and took the shotgun shells out of the shotgun. I was like, you little bitch.
Shit. Then I'm leaning more towards being manipulated.
I think she was manipulated.
Because suddenly now I'm remembering the scene where she is trying to get into the room with the alien. The dead alien. So it's like,
Dead? I mean, is it dead? Do you think they came and took the body, or do you think he got up and walked out?
I think he got up and walked out.
Because the door was open and the shelf was pushed aside, right?
Yeah. So it's like, yeah. No, that little girl, straight up evil.
Piece of shit. Piece of shit. I hate kids already.
See, well, at least in the beginning, she wasn't someone I hated. So,
and then briefly before we move on, how did you feel about Renee, which is Brian's girlfriend? Like, what happened to her?
She's the one that got fucked up, huh?
One, I hate that she's like the only Hispanic, and she gets like the worst death right away.
You see, I don't know. For me. As you may or may not have noticed, I haven't been referring to these characters as their names. I've been being that guy, that girl. So, I guess I wish she was more. I wish she was more skilled in ducking.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
an obvious laser pointer that's being.
She stood there for a while. Like, you should probably. Oh no. Okay. Aliens
she's
zapped
dead.
you.
They got her.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty gnarly death. Pretty slow. I'm not sure if it's slow or not, but
she's definitely a body count. She's definitely there for body count, I think.
I think it further adds to the theory that these aliens are malevolent because, of course, that laser fucked her up. Gave her a seizure, made her bleed.
I can't remember what happened to Matthew. The African American.
He got. Remember, he was all like, I'm gonna go find your brothers," and then he ends up not returning at all.
Okay,
like
same,
I think he
same
went with.
story.
Yeah, he went. I think he went out with the shotgun, and then like they just found the shotgun outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're right.
So,
Right.
well, at least, the most terrible thought came into my head, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna die first.
At least he didn't.
He didn't die first.
And they had like a racial
yeah.
subtext, like also out of nowhere, but like
out of nowhere.
It gives you like, it makes you like Kurt less, and then kind of like Melody more. Like that's what kind of gives you the whole, they're the modern, these are the millennials or whatever.
Yeah, no, I thought that was like, I'm like, okay, Kurt's racist right off the bat. I don't like him, therefore I should not care for him. And that stuck with me. Even with his line where he's like, it's not about race. I'm like, okay, well,
she should have told me that. Yeah, but she should have told us. Why?
It's like, it's not about race, but it is.
But actually it is. Yeah, you just, it's a racist who doesn't like being called a racist, right? Like.
Yeah, no, precisely. So I'm all like, I was so, I mean, sure, add to the drama of the film, but like, why make one of your lead characters a racist?
Yeah, I mean, he's also like one of the first to go, him and Brian. I mean,
yeah.
And you know what is funny is Kurt's gone and everyone's crying over Kurt. Not one person mentions Brian until Tommy does in his confessional at the end. No one's like, oh my God, Tommy, or Brian, what happened? Everyone's upset that Kurt is dead. And I was like, no one liked Brian. Was the black sheep of the family. No one liked him.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. That's pretty much all there is for those characters for me. You know?
I don't really have.
My favorite was the mother because of how annoying she was. So that should tell you how I should feel about the other characters.
Yeah. Well, do you want to move on to behind the scenes?
Yes, let's do that. For the behind the scenes, this was more of a, was this on purpose or was this a rough cut? Because I don't know about you, but the version I saw had a lot of missing sound effects.
I think that's on purpose.
Okay, because I was thinking like, okay, well, there's music playing when they're playing the piano in the beginning, but then at the end, there's purposely no music playing when music should be playing.
I think it's supposed to be the aliens are fucking with their minds.
Ah, okay. Because I was thinking like, this isn't like, what is this? Who released this?
I think it's supposed to be on purpose, and they're hearing Rose play the piano amazingly all of a sudden, but you're not actually hearing her. It's because it's in their head, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay, then there goes that then. That was my...
So they did have a $1.2 million budget to make this movie.
Really?
Yes, it's just a lot of money. So just a little background on the movie. So the director, Dean Alieto, who is fine. If you look up his pictures, he's very attractive. He made a movie. So he had this thing where he wanted to be a director, obviously, all his life. And he wanted to make a movie by age 25 because all of his favorite directors had done that. He kind of gave up on it. And finally, he met someone who offered to give him a budget of $6,000 to come up with something. And his reply to that person was, well, the only thing I can make with that is a home video. Which gave him the idea, and he made a 45-minute, which is on YouTube, a 45-minute long movie called The McPherson Tape. And that is the original movie, and Alien Abduction is a remake of that. So that's why they only had a 45-minute script, is because he had to pad it to make a full feature film. Which I find super, super interesting. And that whole, the original movie and the remake caused a lot of controversy in the UFO enthusiast world.
Yes, it had like a similar effect of the Orson Welles' War of the Worlds.
Very similar. But Dean played Tommy in the original. I think their names were different. It was like Michael or something. So he was, played the part in the original. I just think that's really... Did you get a chance to watch that? It's on YouTube. I haven't had a chance to actually watch it.
Ironically, that was on my schedule of things to do today.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing that too, but alas. So when the McPherson Tape came out, obviously it wasn't shown at a lot of different, theaters. It was small festivals. People thought it was real. Like, people legitimately thought a family was abducted. They kind of did the same thing as Alien Abduction in TV, where they were like, they didn't put the cast list, there wasn't credits, and they did the whole like the McPherson family has not been seen. Caused a lot of controversy, and then when Alien Abduction came out, the whole the dean has said, and he continues to go to UFO conventions, and he's always trying to convince people like, this is not real. I came up with it out of the budget constraints that I had, and then people liked it enough to give me more money to do it for television. Like, none of this is true. I'm not a UFO enthusiast or anything like that, but people think that the McPherson tape is a real event, and they made Alien Abduction as a cover-up. Like, this is fake, you see, guys, we're remaking it, so now everyone will remember this one, and suddenly the tapes of the original movie are lost, which they're not. It's on YouTube.
Which they're not, yeah.
So that whole thing, I think, is pretty funny and interesting.
Yeah, that, and it's funny because I think in the United States, the Alien Abduction, the remake, aired with end credits in the United States, but didn't in New Zealand.
Which is it's like funny. But even in the United States, even though they had like credits of like the actors who played the aliens, people still thought it was real.
And I think that is absolutely hilarious. Only because it's like, so recently I made through our post through the Facebook page for our films. Obviously, the last week's episode was The Fourth Kind. The first post was saying, so honestly, tell me, did you think The Fourth Kind was real, or did you think it was fake? And the alarming amount of people who said, wait, it's not real, shocked me. Almost everyone who responded to that was in shock that that was fake. So, and that's The Fourth Kind, a movie that actually, had movie
a budget,
segments,
had stars in it.
So it's not surprising for me to hear that people across the globe thought that this was real, which I honestly felt it did feel more real,
Oh, compared to The Fourth Kind, I will say this is a much better movie. It accomplishes everything that Fourth Kind wanted to be with a fraction of the budget. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not so hard for me to believe that. So
I just feel like sometimes people just want to believe. They just want to believe something.
Yeah, because what's the X-Files tagline?
I want to believe.
I want to believe,
So people try to say this was all a conspiracy, that Dean, really filmed something happen, and now the government's trying to cover up. So people try to do their research and crack the case, but it was proved to be a hoax because someone actually called up. There is an actual Lake County, Montana, is a real place. Someone called the sheriff's office and to find out, get names of families who lived in the county at that time, and no one named McPherson was in Lake County at the time. So that could also be a cover up, but it is not. So I mean, that's pretty much it. Dean, he says he still to this day tries to convince people that it's not a real thing. The only other thing I do have from behind the scenes that I thought was kind of funny was the actress who plays Renee was supposed to be completely topless and changed her mind at the last second. So they met in the middle, and so she wore pasties, and they blurred it out to make it look like she was.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but again, are you going to show this on UPN?
Yeah, so what would be the point of showing nudity? Specifically on the aspects that were censored. All the bad words were censored in this version. So why even go that far to shoot nudity if you know it's going to be on
it's not going to be
television? I
mean, obviously, it didn't really have a big release afterwards either.
Yeah,
I don't think you can get. Can you get this on DVD or anything?
It looks like there are, but I mean, I'm not quite sure if they're legit releases. I think it's just someone who found a file, made a copy, and is selling it on Amazon Marketplace or something.
Yeah, bootlegs.
Yeah, bootlegs mainly. So I don't know if it did have a proper release, and I don't imagine it ever will.
It probably won't. I would love it. I'd love a higher res version. Although
Yeah.
the blurriness and things like that, the static and stuff, really does add to the feeling of realism.
It really, it has like a Noroi effect for me, where it's like and the Blair Witch Project, where like the lower the quality it seems, the more authentic
scarier.
it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
So this is going to get pretty kooky, and we're getting into major conspiracy theory territory, and it must be said that this is just my personal view on things, but I have this wild theory that I've been kind of formulating throughout my whole life, and it came from watching movies like Tora, Pearl Harbor, United 93, World Trade Center. And I was thinking, why would you ever want to make a movie that, that showcases such like horrific things like that, And then you're sitting late at night and you really get deep in your thoughts and you really start thinking about all this controversial stuff. And I was just kind of thinking, damn, what if it was a way for the government to sort of normalize it in people's minds? And the only way to do that would be to make a film of said event and just sort of like,
Get people prepared.
yeah, not only get people prepared, but just also like, oh, remember that, and then just sort of tug at the heartstrings of the tragedy,
Yeah.
Because it was only like, gosh, 15 years, and then they made Tora, which was Attack on Pearl Harbor movie. Then you got like so many war movies, and you also got Pearl Harbor, which was just a huge, big budget, whack fest of like destruction in the face of tragedy. It's like, whoa, okay. And then what really got to me about this theory was that the fact they would make United 93 like 3-4 years after 9/11, and then followed by World Trade Center. So I'm all like, Jesus Christ. So then I was just kind of thinking, like, in order to like hide the guilt, again, this gets into hardcore controversy where in this conspiracy theory, the United States was responsible for 9/11, was responsible for Pearl Harbor, So I'm just thinking, like, what if it was just a way to, showcase like, like really memorialize that tragedy in the eyes of, through their eyes, where the bad guys are the Japanese, where the bad guys are whoever did 9/11, So it's like,
I see.
So I'm then thinking, what if alien abduction was trying to hide the fact that the McPherson tape was a real, thing? So, that's where you kind of get into the deep end of shit, and you have to you have to really let go of a lot of logic for it to make sense.
Yeah.
But it's fun to think about,
It is.
So I'm just, yeah, that's my kooky tinfoil hat theory.
Well, I like it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much. Do you have anything else that you'd want to talk about as far as behind the scenes?
I don't know. $1.2 million. What it clearly did not go to the alien wardrobe department.
Yeah, I'm wondering where did it come from? I mean, was it all spent on the prop spaceship?
Yeah,
all
the prop spaceship.
All the dried ice that they used.
Yeah. Geez. The camera, the actor, like, did they buy the fucking house?
Is the house a set? Like the whole thing is set? I don't know. But they had 1.5 mil or 1.2 million. So can you imagine what we could do with $1 million?
Oh my God, so much, and it wouldn't be shot on home video. Yet again, this was 1998, so
that's true. Well, we'll do final thoughts, and then you want to just talk a little bit about some kind of spooky happenings.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. What do we... Oh yeah, well, tell the viewers what we're going to be talking about.
So, we will be talking about the body in the canal, which I don't believe... I don't remember. Did you find out who the name of the person was? Because you can if you look it up.
The thing you sent me that I listened to last night purposely left the name out for respect to the family.
Yeah.
I did not look up more information on it. The only thing I did look up were the crime scene photos, which...
Right.
Ooh. Well, yeah, we'll get into that.
So basically, it's was it Brazil?
Yeah.
It was Brazil. Okay, so a man-made canal where apparently there's a lot of disappearances. A lot of bodies are found often, but on one certain day, a kid saw a body floating in the canal, and it ended up being the victim that I kind of touched on in the last episode, where this is like one of the most unexplained crime body mutilations that's been found, right?
Oh my God. Yes, like the way you described it, I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty horrible, but the reality of it is so much more worse. It's so much worse because I looked up. Okay, well, should we just tell them what happened to this poor individual? Okay. Do you want to tell her or should I?
You can tell it.
Okay. So yeah, this body was found in a canal by this boy, and this body has been stripped bare of its clothes. And based off just the description from the episode and the photos that I saw, this man went through a horrible amount of pain, and it all happened apparently at the same time,
instantaneously.
Yes. So gosh, what could we say? Apparently, we'll start from the top. His face completely skinned. His jaw was extremely exposed. His eyes were just ripped out of their sockets. It looked like a forever. It was horrible. And again, you can look at these photos. Just Google the right words, you'll find them.
Content warning: you will not forget them.
Warning.
You will not forget those pictures.
You will not. I just watched them. I just saw them last night, and it stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm usually, again, like as we discussed in the last episode, I'm really into like the really morbid content where you see the crime scene photos of, famous murderers and whatnot. So this got me curious about it, and it haunted me, and stuff like that really never does happen. But yeah, one of the most peculiar things that were found on the body were these holes that seem to be, they seem to mirror each other on the body quite well. Mm-hmm. Holes were found underneath both armpits and the legs or the stomach at some point. One of those. But the point being is that they were almost,
symmetrical.
Symmetrical on,
symmetrical.
It looks like, apparently, as the coroner has said, through these holes, things like muscles and all the blood was completely drained from the body.
Yeah.
And organs. Most of the organs seem to appear to have been removed from these holes. And they're no bigger than maybe 1-2 inches, maybe
yeah,
3
they're
at the
not
most.
Very big at all.
Not very big at all. And what could probably be the most disturbing aspect would be the genital area.
Yeah.
Based on the photos, the man was castrated. Mm-hmm. And near the anus, it looks like the whole thing was just scooped clean, as you said.
Like a scoop, an ice cream scoop.
Yeah, which if there was a way to remove the organs, that may have been the orifice that was used, because and I gotta say, when I looked at that photo, I got this weird fucking feeling like
disturbing.
No,
as gay men,
yes,
obviously this whole thing is disturbing.
So it's like, wow. And one of the things I think I found was most in particular was that there was like a complete muscles were missing from like the legs, behind the legs, so it was all like, what the fuck? And the most shocking thing about this, the whole thing is shocking, but the most ridiculously shocking thing about this was that local authorities said that he died of natural causes.
Yes, natural causes, and that the wounds that we see, like that he was drunk, because the person was known, I guess, after speaking with the family, that he was known to be an alcoholic, and that he would often go out to the canal to fish inebriated. And so they're saying that he was drunk, fell into the water, drowned, and then local wildlife is what scooped out his anus, castrated him, pulled his eyes out, created little holes in his armpits that match perfectly, and sucked out all of his organs.
Apparently all those little critters are like little Hannibal Lecters.
Surgeons. They're all surgeons. Yep. So that's they were saying is that everything was done with surgical precision, which is like, well, what animal would do that? And also, what human being has equipment that could also do that?
Yeah.
Simultaneously.
And, the one thing that really, really stuck with me was they determined that all of this occurred instantaneously, and that the only reason why they ruled it a death of natural causes was because the man was in so much pain that he died.
Yeah, he died of pain. Like, imagine that. Imagine hitting your toe, like the sharp pain you get that. Can you imagine that pain, but it's your eyes being ripped out? Can you imagine that a pain like that so intense that it kills you?
Yeah. It's your eyes being ripped out. It's your face being cut off. It's your dick being cut off. It's your asshole being fisted by an alien machine. It's
muscles being ripped out, sucked out of you.
Sucked out, It's like, oh my God.
And then another disturbing fact is that he had no combat wounds, no wounds of him trying to protect himself. There was no bruises or anything, no sign that he was resisting, which means, and there was no paralyzing, material in his system.
Yeah, like there was no
anesthetic.
Anesthetic applied. So that's why he had whatever happened to him. He felt it,
but he also
was aware of it,
and he didn't fight though. Something held him still enough for this to do that, to where he didn't struggle at all. So. That's also a weird thing, and it's weird that the local police, the local law, completely denies anything. They're very hush-hush. They don't talk about this, and for the longest time, the real name wasn't known. Like, they used a fake name as the person, who this body was. So, why cover all of these things up if it was simply a drunk person who fell in a canal?
Yeah, and in fact, the only reason why we are aware of it is because someone leaked the crime scene photos. So if it wasn't for them, this would remain unknown, because even for a while, this whole thing passed into legend for the longest time, and then finally it kind of hit the internet in the late 90s or mid 90s or what have you. So if they like hit this so well up until that point, what else do you think? What else?
They said that canal, they've seen, this isn't the only mutilation that they found that was strange. This is just the worst. So, is this a hot spot?
Yeah,
or something?
Yeah, and this kind of goes into what I was saying earlier. Wrong place, wrong time. Imagine being in a world where there's 7 billion people, where something this horrible can happen to you, and you're the one that it happens to. Horrible odds, and it's just unfortunate.
Condolences to the family. I did like that where we heard this story from was very respectful. So we'll definitely try and be respectful here. It is a horrible thing that this happened to this person, but it is definitely an interesting topic to discuss. A very scary one. This is kind of the worst nightmare of someone who, as far when it comes to abductions or aliens, this is kind of the worst case scenario, right?
This certainly makes all the alien abduction movies we watch seem like a walk in the park.
And I'm surprised there's not a movie about this, which, it hasn't been done yet, Harrison.
It hasn't been done yet. And honestly, there wouldn't be much we could do. Like, we couldn't obviously do like a fire in the sky and be like, okay, this is what happened to him, and then just do like a horrific Serbian film.
The whole movie is him
torture.
Just being tortured. In my mind, it'd be like they find the body, and as they're investigating,
I like
shit
that.
happens. I don't know.
Like Twin Peaks?
Like Twin Peaksy, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I can see that happening. But, it's interesting because I think the only reason why we're talking about it here is because, for one, it could just be a horrific murder that happened at the hands of a very, very, precise psychotic
serial
surgeon,
killer,
But we're talking about it because all of these horrific things that happen to this person seems to be too perfectly performed. And
what machine could do this instantaneously? Like, what human being could to do all of these? What would be an hours long surgery, right, to get it as precise as they are? Because they don't look ripped. Like, he doesn't look like torn apart by claws.
No,
it's very clean cut lines.
Very clean cut. So it's like, I think it makes sense that people would kind of revert to, or like at least assume that if it's impossible for a human to do it, it looks impossible.
What could
then
have done
obviously it must have been aliens, which
something of supernatural.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it was La Llorona. Who knows? But
maybe the Mexican goat sucker. You know,
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra. You know, so but those crime scene photos that has topped the list of most fucked up things I've seen of at least real people in real life. You know?
Agreed. Yeah.
So, oh man.
Well, now that we've freaked ourselves out and our listeners, shall we get into final thoughts on Alien Abduction?
Yes, let's.
Alrighty. So Harrison, what are your thoughts on this movie? How do you feel, especially coming off of The Fourth Kind, where I know we were both disappointed?
Yeah. You know, I think I liked it more, only because there were no expectations from it, and because I've never heard of it in my life. And you know, I think the only thing I had to get over personally was the fact that it was a found footage movie. But this is a really well-made found footage movie. There are genuinely creepy moments in it. There are just some aspects of it that piss me off, but I could not discern whether it was just because that's how I feel about the people, or that's how the director intended the people to be. You know, obviously the mother being the silliest and most entertaining because of how ridiculous she is, and you know the rest of the family being, you know, you just don't want to be in any kind of situation like this with any of these family members at all.
No,
you know,
you're dead for sure.
So, like, I've just imagined them in other scenarios. Like, can you imagine this family being kidnapped by the Gecko brothers and going to the Titty Twister and from Dusk Till Dawn?
They would never make it. They would never make it across the border.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, someone would run off, and then Richie would shoot them, and then that's the end of the movie. You know?
That's all.
Yeah. So it's like, so Alien Abduction Incident in Lake County has proven to be a decent found footage movie. It's scary when it's not like overly scary, but it is intriguing. It's scarily intriguing. If that makes sense.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
If anything, it's not going to really jump out at you. You know, you might not have nightmares, but you'll definitely feel unsettled. Watching this at night with the lights off, you'll definitely get a chill down your spine in some of the scenes.
So you know, the fact that I kind of knew it was fake, I kind of went into it knowing it was fake. But if I were just some random dude late at night on UPN in 1998 watching this movie, I would have felt like I really experienced something legitimate. Because up until then, I think the only fake footage movie was I don't know.
Hannibal Holocaust?
Yeah, Cannibal Holocaust. So I was thinking, okay, obviously that's not available to a wider audience at the time, so it's and this is before the Blair Witch Project perfected, found footage and just opened the door to found footage. So
made
it's
it mainstream.
Yeah, I would have definitely thought this was real. But I watched this in 2020 where a person who has made a fake documentary, can know the tricks and ins and outs of this shit. But, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you did. I'm glad that I found something that you hadn't seen.
Yeah.
And that, I'm glad that you found it enjoyable. I really like this movie. And I think it's just because it's one of those movies that you kind of discover where a lot of people don't know about. And it's just a hidden gem, It has its flaws, pretty quickly everything is fake. It's really easy to tell. But I feel like the actors and the situations that are going on are real enough that you can forget all that. You can, just kind of dive in with the family and go along with them and kind of experience what's happening with them, especially if you have a fear of the grays or similar fears as I do. I feel like it'll definitely affect you. Will I watch it again? Probably not. I'll, if it might be something that I'd like to show people, who might have similar fears. I might show this to someone, but
I'll watch the 45-minute one.
I'll watch that. I'm curious to see that, and 45 minutes isn't, too bad.
Not too bad, yeah.
I really like this movie. I think it's one of those one-time watches. You're not going to regret watching it. It's definitely not a waste of time. I recommend watching this either alone or maybe with a loved one, lights off, middle of the night, have some wine, and I think you'll have a good time. I think you'll get enough of the chills. Enough of the chills to make you satisfied if you're a horror fan, at least. So, I like the movie. I accept all the flaws that you say there are. It is dated. It's from 1998. You can totally tell in the acting, in everything, but there's some kind of charm to it. Like, the director was able to put some kind of... The actors had chemistry with each other. They seemed like a family, as annoying as they were. But, yeah, there's just something charming about it that I really enjoyed. I think I like it more than Blair Witch. So that's saying something. That's a movie that I probably won't watch again because I find it so fucking boring. But,
right.
Yeah, so those are my thoughts. I thoroughly enjoy this movie. I do recommend watching it at least once.
And also, if anything, this is also a pretty nice masterclass on how to do fake horror documentaries. Like,
definitely took notes.
This is a good step by step. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
With some minor, tweaks and changes.
Saying some more modern sensibilities, but I think it's a cute little alien abduction film, and I definitely recommend it. So Harrison, how many wine glasses would you give Alien Abduction Incident in Lake County? You got to give it that incident in Lake County.
Okay, well, I give, out of 5 wine glasses, I give Alien Abduction Incident in Lake County a solid 4 wine glasses.
Very good.
For all the reasons above. It's not the worst found footage movie I've seen, and it's certainly not the worst alien movie I've seen, but also it's not the best.
Yeah, not by a long shot.
It sits right at being good, and I think it's perfectly fine with being on that, step.
Yeah, agreed. I'm gonna give it a 4 as well. I agree with all the flaws that you said that it has. I definitely see them. It's not the most amazing movie. It's not the best alien movie out there, but it's thoroughly enjoyable. I think anyone watching this will get into it and will have a good time, no matter how phony it gets, especially when you see the what they had to do with the budget. But it's a solid movie. I will give it that. And so,
which I still can't believe it was
1.2 million.
1.2 million. I don't. I guess maybe I see it, but I don't. It's like I don't know. I really don't.
Well, he
know
lucked
where it
out
went.
with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Or did the government purposely pay him that much?
Oh shit, Harrison! We're not supposed to be talking about this.
It only cost $10,000 to make. The rest he pocketed. It was hush money.
It was hush money for him to make nothing afterwards. Like his career. I mean, if you looked at his IMDb, but
yeah,
it is what it is. Well, should we wrap up?
Yes, let's wrap up. Toby, what movie are we covering next week?
So we are finishing off Alien August with Fire in the Sky, which is a very well-known. I think it's even more than a cult classic. Like, it's a very well-known alien abduction movie for many different reasons than just the alien abduction part of it, I think, and we'll get into it. But it's kind of our big hurrah for the end. It's probably one of the most well-known abduction cases, and we also live here in Arizona, where it takes place. So
I can't tell you how many times I've driven past Heber Overgaard knowing that Fire in the Sky happened here.
Well, I'll have to go someday because I've never been up that way, but
it's a nice drive. Well, it used to be. It was decimated by those fires. It's growing back, but it's still it's a beautiful drive. And I believe that will be inevitable anyways because we got to do some location scouting.
Which, yes, I'm so ready for.
Yeah. So, and, Fire in the Sky, if you don't know what that is, then obviously you've been living under a rock. But
well, you'll hear about it next week.
Next week, yep.
Well, I imagine there'll be a very good discussion with Fire in the Sky, as far as the behind the scenes, at least, and the true events versus fictional events.
Right, and especially, and one of the fun things that I will want to discuss would be recasting the movie with today's actors.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So,
down
or
for that.
maybe, or maybe actors in general from specific time periods, but we'll get into that because I think that would be a really, really fun one. Just to drop a little bit of a teaser. Travis Walton should be played by Paul Rudd.
Because he fucking looks like Paul Rudd.
Exactly. So get in. We'll get into the other actors and who I think should play them. One I think you really love because it's your favorite movie. So we'll get into that.
Okay,
next
I'm
week.
excited. All right. Well, want to send us off?
Yes. So thanks for listening to us. You can listen to us on all the we are on all the social medias. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. For the Facebook, we are going to be switching the times in which we're going to be releasing the post. Usually they've been posting at 7 a.m. Now we're going to be switching it to 11 a.m. It's because, well, I'm not awake at that time, so I don't think you guys will be. So starting next week, we will be starting to release the posts at 11. And I'm thinking for this week, it'll be like, because there really isn't much to show really about this movie behind the scenes.
Yeah, there really isn't a whole lot.
Yeah, so I think in response, I think I'm just gonna post some really spooky, like you are doing for the Instagram. I'll post some pretty spooky alien abduction stories. So
yeah, which is really interesting to get into and quite scary in some points. So
so look for that. Our Instagram is chock full of awesome posts by Toby, as well as horror memes.
And Harrison, yes, and memes.
Yeah, and horror memes, which are hilarious. The Twitter.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we're working on that. But you can also listen to us on iTunes Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean. Again, we're also on YouTube. You can see video of our conversation about this.
I'm so sorry.
And also, we have a very beautiful website. Visit us at the www.thefinalgaze.com, where you can see photos of us, as well as bios and what have you. And I think that should be it. We got a lot of great stuff planned for the coming months, so we're gonna finish this week out with a bang. But until then, my name is Harrison.
And I'm Toby.
And we are the Final Gaze. Well, hey, that's good. I'm so glad that, actually, yeah. This movie would have fucked you up more. Actually, I'm going to start that over again. I saw the point in my head and I just got lost. It's like, oh, stop messing around. It's just a joke. It's not funny.
Hold on. You froze and went mute for like 4 seconds. So so start up. Again.
I definitely saw something going on with man. Am I still good now?
Yeah, good.
Okay. One of the most peculiar things on the body were holes that were found near the armpits and on the legs, and they were like elliptical, and apparently it looks like, huh?
Sorry, Bruce, come here. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Who's Bruce? Is it the puppy?
The little baby.
Oh.
Come here. Give me a little cameo for the YouTube folks. There he is.
Aww.
Keeping me safe.
Bruce.
A little guard dog. So,
oh.
not really terrified of everything.
Oh.
All right.
Bruce.
Goodbye, Bruce. Sorry.
Holy shit, that scared the fuck out of me.
Oh, were you really hearing something?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I don't know if you could see it. You see that right there?
Oh.
You see it?
Yeah.
I saw that
Kayako.
in the reflection on my TV. And
That
I'm
is
like,
creepy.
What the fuck is that? Oh my god.
Gotta watch out, Harrison.